Alright, today we're going to do a disassembly on the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 compact. So to start your disassembly process, you're going to need a couple different things. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver, a small one that I typically use. I have a couple little ones here. A pair of needle nose pliers, a ball peen hammer, a 16th punch. I'll also show you too that on the bottom of your M&Ps, if you twist this pin out, or this little lever, and pull, so this is a brand new gun, it hadn't been stripped down yet, this will actually pull out, and that can be used as a pin punch for some of your pins. So if you don't have a roll pin punch set handy, you can go ahead and use this, but I don't like typically using the hammer on these, so that is one part. That is how you get your back straps off the gun. So I guess we can go ahead and start there. Next, we'd go ahead and field strip the gun, lock our slides back to the rear, rotate your takedown lever 90 degrees, go ahead and let it slide forward, pull the slide back just a quarter of an inch or so, pull the trigger and pull off the slide. From there, go ahead and set the frame out of the way, take our recoil spring and barrel out. Now, on the M&P series pistols, getting the slide apart's a little harder than doing a Glock, say. What you do, what's similar is when you want to take the striker out, you got this little white plastic in here, the channel. And what you want to do is get your little flathead and push that down just a little bit, and then your backing plate just slides right off. Put that over there. And from there, it's still locked in. So normally a Glock, you can just pull that right out. So what you gotta do is push the firing pin block down, which is right here. Just push the button down, and it'll release. There is your striker. So for basic cleaning, you can go ahead and clean this up with some alcohol. Don't use a 3-in-1 like Ballistol, which I prefer. Just use like a degreaser or something, clean it off, and then put it back in the gun. Don't lube this up because you don't want lube getting into this channel, which collects dirt. So we'll put that off to the side. Next, the slide's basically complete for what I'm going to do, because unlike a Glock or a lot of other firearms, you actually have to take the rear sights off to get your firing pin block out. So that's going to require a hex head to pull the nut out, and then either a punch and a hammer or a sight pusher to actually pull off the sights, and that's the only way you can get your firing pin block out. So unless the gun's been shot 10 to 15,000 rounds, I don't see the need for taking this out unless you're changing it. You can clean it. If you can see, you can get in there through the striker channel and kind of clean it up through there. So we're going to leave that alone. Now, if you do want to take this off, if you buy a set of sights, usually it comes with this nut, but it's got a small hex head screw here. You can back that out, knock your sights off, and then there will be a little plate, little circular plate about the same size as your firing pin block. That'll slide off, and then there's a spring. The spring can come out, and then the firing pin block will come out also. So that's how you do that. And then for some reason, if you need to get the extractor out, it's also got a roll pin that we're not going to knock out today. But it pushes out, extractor comes out, and I mean, it's pretty simple from there. There's also a spring back there. So we'll set the slide off to the side, barrel and spring, and we'll get to the frame. All right, now start here. I like to use a roll of masking tape. We got 2 pins right here we're going to want to take out. You got your front pin, your back pin, and then, or you got 3 pins altogether. This is the first 2 we'll take out. Then you got your Sear block pin. So we'll start with the front pin right here. So we'll start, get you a small punch. It's a little cold in this garage, so get a little hammer. Go ahead and knock that pin out. Now, Go ahead and keep your pins marked so you know which one's which. I do believe the front and the rear pin on this, the Sear block pin, are different. And then this other pin we'll take out, it can only go one way, so you're not going to get them mixed up. So, taking that pin out, I believe all that pin does is keep the Sear block from coming up in the front. It keeps it in place down here. It doesn't serve any other function besides keeping the Sear block in place. Or not Sear block, your locking block in place. So from there, we'll take the next pin out. Now, other M&Ps I've messed with, I've been able to get out the takedown lever. And I noticed that on another one that I couldn't get it out. So, see if it comes out when I take the locking block out. So, I think I want to make sure that this doesn't flip forward while you're taking that out, or you're going to sit there and end up beating it out. So go ahead, it should just be a straight shot down. Pull that pin out. Now that pin has a head on it. So like I said, it's only going to go one way. So we'll put that to the side. You'll know which pin that is. Alright, from there, now we can pull our locking block out. Now that pin that we just pulled out, if you see through here, you got your trigger return spring in there. And that's what this pin holds that together. And it also holds the slide lock in. So, you can take your little flathead screwdriver, kind of maybe pry up a little bit. You should just be able to pull it right out. Especially on a new one, we're going to need a little bit of force here to pop that out there. There we go. The takedown levers came with it also. So it kind of just... It doesn't seem like you can get it out unless you take the locking block out. So I don't know if that's something they've redesigned. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it's not like any other M&P I've had. Usually it just comes right out. So go ahead and take that out. Set your locking block aside. That's as far as you can go with that. Now from there, this is where you gotta watch. You got your... Where's my pointer? You got your trigger return spring right here, which is just attached to the bottom of the trigger right here. And your slide stop all comes out in one piece. It does have a red spring in here, which I don't see any reason to take that out. So we'll set that all apart. That's all one piece. And then your trigger will come out too. Now it'll separate from the Sear, just like that. You can pull it straight out. I'll show you how it works here once we get the actual Sear block out also. And then the spring, just be careful because it is just a little loop back on here and it'll come right out. You can just kind of pop it off. Any other time I take these off, they come right off. So now it's going to give me a fit. And my fingers are freezing. So there we go. There's that. If you want to take the shoe off the bar, you got another little pin right here you can pop out. I don't usually recommend taking that one off, just for cleaning them if you're going to replace it, obviously. But try to keep that one tight. So that's your trigger bar and shoe out. Set that over here to the side. Keep your spring. I like to keep them in here between my roll of tape. If you have a gunsmith block that you can use, that's great. But if not, regular roll of masking tape's great for beating out pins. Next up, Sear block housing pin. So we got that here. Go ahead and pop that out. This one gets a little tough with a block of tape, so we'll go ahead and pull her out there. She popped in there. Now I've noticed that these two, looks like the very first pin you take out and the second pin you've taken out, or the third pin, seem to be this exact same diameter. Let me double check here. Yeah, actually the front one seems a little bit smaller, so you want to keep those two together. They might be the same, it's hard to tell. They look about the exact same, so you shouldn't have to worry about getting those two pins mixed up. Okay, from there we have your Sear block housing. So to get that up, especially if it's new, you're going to have to kind of pry down up in here. Kind of just pry lightly. Don't sit there and crank on it. And then just pull her up. Wiggle itself out of its track there. Get out of there. There we go. Okay, so the frame is completely disassembled besides the mag release. I'll show you. I don't really want to do the mag release because it can be a pain in the butt. If you look down in here, you got this spring. If you just back this spring out of its track, the mag release will fall out. Putting it back in is not as easy as it sounds, but I mean, it's not that bad. So if you want to take it out, you can. I'm not going to for this demonstration. Besides that, the frame is clean. There's nothing else in it. Like I said, it's a brand new gun. Put that off to the side. There's something else I want to show you real quick. I threw that out when I did that. The plugs that they put in, since this is a no safety model, if you wanted to put a safety, call Smith & Wesson, tell them, hey, I want a safety in my M&P, whatever model it is, and they'll send you one. Same thing if you bought one that has a safety and you don't want a safety. As long as it has these plugs in it, they will send you these plugs for free. They've done it for me multiple times. I don't prefer to have a safety on my carry gun, so and you can swap it out, and I'll show you, if I can, how to put the safety in. It's really easy. But these plugs just kind of pop in and pop out, and they're kind of a pain in the ass to get back in sometimes. So it kind of just pops back in there. You can tell which way it goes here. Snap it down in there, and it'll push itself flush when you put the Sear block back in. Okay, from there, we have the actual Sear block itself. So taking this apart, we will start now. If this was a safety model, you're gonna have, of course, your safety, which just is kind of like the slide stop it did. I mean, obviously a lot smaller, but it goes around here, and it just one piece that goes around, and it'll have another piece, and it'll pin through these holes. So when you pop that pin out, you'll have this extra piece that'll come out all in one piece. But you'll also have a little detent and a spring in here, right here. It's a little hunk of metal that goes one certain way with a really tiny spring that just rests itself, and it forces itself in there. And that's the selector, basically. So it has your safety on, safety off. Now, to get this apart, you have two different things here. We have this pin here, which these are... Show you, this just goes this way. Comes out one side only. You push that out. Put that pin aside. And now the Sear is going to fall out. Kind of pay attention to the way it comes out here. It's a little bit different than the older models. You see, it's two pieces. So the other ones, the other M&Ps didn't have this other piece here, this extra piece. The other piece I just dropped on. Whoa. So it goes back in like that, and that's just what rotates the Sear up. So it's just a different way that they're engaging the Sear. Nothing really special about it. If you're doing an Apex set, you'll be replacing this anyways. So we'll put that there. Next, you have the little... I'm not even sure what they call this. This is for the trigger. Fuck, I can't remember exactly what it's called. When you're taken down, you gotta flip the lever up. It's kind of a stupid thing I've never really understood. take this out and just pull the pin, push the pin through, and it'll pop out. So getting it back in can be the hard part. So you got to kind of angle this piece in, push the spring down, and then slide the pin through while you're doing all that. So kind of like that. Now this will just pull itself out. And to get it back through, you just push the pin through. But getting it all lined up can be a pain in the butt, so put that through there. And there we go, just like that. So that's your basic disassembly. You also have this here, your Sear spring that sits on the Sear itself, pushes it up, and you got to make sure that you get that back in there the right way. So if you take that out, be careful flipping this over because it will just fall out. So you have a little, let me see, just push that out. Just kind of pushes up and down, there we go. A little plunger looking deal here. And the spring that goes down in there. So be careful with that. That's a small piece people forget about and don't see. So I don't know if it's focused on there or not. But go ahead and put that back in there. So that's the disassembly on the M&P 2.0 compact. I'm going to make a separate video for the assembly. So if you want to have together, just go ahead and check out the other video. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in this video. I'll go ahead and pop this out too, just to show you guys when I put it back together. Just watch this spring coming out. Actually, I kind of just left itself in there. It's nice. You don't ever get that. So that's a complete strip of the Sear block. That's also, well, you know what? Looks like they've kind of changed that too. The ejector doesn't come out as easy. Looks like it just slides forward. But the other one just kind of laid in there on your older M&Ps. I'm sure there's a way to get it out. But like most guns, I don't see the point. So that's back. I'll be back for round 2 on the assembly part.